Hello, welcome to SMT. I'll be showing you how to make our tape assemblies with the 10 meg resistors. For this job, I've got a number of jigs made up. If you're on the shop, you'll have to find them. If not, if you're at home or somewhere else, you can make them, or you can order them from me and I can make them for you. They definitely help speed up the process of all steps. So, first step would be to cut your resistors, or prep your resistors. If they haven't already been cut or they don't come individually, you get a nice little strip here. All you do is take a bit of 3/16 plastic, throw it in a vise. This allows you to bend a whole bunch at once, and then simply cut it almost halfway, a little bit closer to the edge, so there's a little bit longer of a leg on the resistor. Simple. Like that. Just keep doing that till you have a nice big pile. Alright. Next thing we want to do is load up our resistor blocks. Oops, like that. So these are our blocks. They come in 12 or 6 pairs. So whenever I'm doing a grouping, I usually do it in groups of 6, just because you can do it all at once. Ideally, you want to do each stage fully, reduce the number of times you have to pick up or put down any particular tool. The fewer times you have to set your drill down, the better. So we're just going to secure all 6. You want to have a nice lightweight drill. It gets relatively quickly, or spins relatively quickly, but not a lot of power. It doesn't need a whole lot of torque. It's nice if you have a nice little chuck on it, so that you can set it to the right speed. I like to have it a little bit low and just snug it up with a quarter turn. Just gives you a little bit more control. Sometimes the chuck will trigger before it's fully down. So by doing that, you just guarantee you're getting roughly the same resistance. Alright, so once your resistors are in, you want to make sure that they're secure. Just simply pushing them up. This pulls out on the legs a bit, and if they're not fully secure, they'll slide out. Alright, so the next step we want to do is we want to grab our tapes. Oops, I've got a bunch of tapes right here. So we got a bunch of tapes here. Alright, so with the tapes, essentially, first we want to do is make sure she's cut square. And then you pull back roughly 1/2 inch of the stainless steel, flatten it out. If you pinch it with your finger and slide, it will level out any crinkles, and also put a bit of a cup to it, at which point you can pinch. If it's a little difficult, simply push in a groove with your thumbnail and fold it over. This will help a whole lot later on when you try to insert it into the block. By folding it over, it creates a nice stiff leg, which helps poke into the terminal blocks. See again. Take your 20-foot length, pull back 1/2 inch or so, fold it over. Voila. Alright, next step here is to take the leg, insert it. So this is the copper side. Normally people would think we would insert it this way, with the copper side up, or with the stainless side up, but I find that it's harder to insert and to screw down. There's some other reasons I'll show you later, but again, just stick it on, tighten it down. I go ahead and fill the rest of the blocks up, following the same manner. Like that, until you have the whole thing done up. Ooh, I got another one loose there. Alright. Once you fully filled out your block, now you can separate them. I've got a nice pair of side cutters here that I slightly modified. I flattened out the bottom as well as thinned out the arms so that they can slide neatly in between the terminal block. Like that. Simple enough. If you're doing custom lengths and you're not doing batch manufacturing and you just happen to have single terminal blocks here, I've created a nice little jig. I can send this to you, whereby you can hold it. This jig isn't strictly necessary. You can do it without, but it just speeds things up and saves your fingers. Holding it like that as you do it down has a tendency to spin and you get your fingers torn up by the corners. Alright, so now we're at this point. We want to do the heat shrink. So, for that, you want to cut it off flush with the top, peel it back, and expose roughly 1/2 inch to 3/4 of the tape past the mylar, like that. So 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch gap from there to there. Simply pinch it with your fingers, or if need be, oops, a pair of tweezers here, like that, just to insert halfway. On the end pieces, if you want to get it closer this way, that's fine, because you can cut off anything that's hanging out over the side. Right. So once you're at this is when it's important to have a heat-resistant surface, either metal or concrete. I like doing this job on the floor, because you can use the concrete to actually bounce the heat around the outside. So the first thing you want to do is run the hot air through the center, never pointing the heat gun directly at the tape, but always just skirting it slightly. Running it down the center, this will evenly heat much of the tape, or much of the heat shrink. And then you just take it to the side, rotate just to get the last little bits. Again, not going in that way, because that will melt a good portion of the tape. Now, if you've got one of these here clamps, that's easy enough. If you don't, this step is just a little bit more complicated, but not much. Again, pull back 3/4 inch. Like that. Usually, if I don't use the tweezers, I usually have my thumb on the top side with the resistor. Stick the mylar down, and away we go. Alright, so if you don't have one of my fancy clamps, you just need a piece of plastic or a piece of wood or some other flat, hard surface. Press it down both sides. And there we go. I like to just sort of snip off the rough edge like that. Just makes it all nice and pretty. Once this is done, you do your load up tool. Alright, simple enough. Place it like that with the stainless steel on the outside. Like that. Keeping your hand taut. Easy breezy. Oh! Twist tie. Like that. For twist ties, I just like using scraps of Cat 5 solid core. Just split it down the center, take each piece. Done.